What's up everybody, blessed be, my name is Manon and you are watching Witch in the Working, where we will be discussing all things witchy in and around, throughout and about, above, below, and beyond. Please visit me on my other platforms as well, including Facebook and Patreon, all links down in the description below. The full script to this video and most of the others is available on my Patreon account for download if desired, to build your own Witch in the Working Book of Shadows if you want to. No longer posting to Instagram, as that platform is most likely on its way out. See ya, can't keep up. It was nice while it lasted, but it's just not doing well nowadays. Also, please visit my Shopify store listed in the description below to get your Witch in the Working shirts, mugs, stickers, bags, beanies, or what have you. So we as witches, druids, magicians, sorcerers, wizards, enchanters, and all of the other types of magical practitioners out there prancing around on this big blue marble have quite a few things in common with each other. One of these commonalities is spell and ritual work. Magic through spells and rituals has been a reality in our society since humans had the capability of speech and reason. It's been practiced throughout the millennia by just about every single culture that existed and still exists today. It'll continue to flourish until this world and the beings that prance upon it, us, no longer exist as a species, and probably even beyond that somehow. In many ways, we have managed to produce change in conformity with our will, and on many levels, whether it be candle magic, Poppet Magick, color magic, sympathetic magic, protection magic, fertility magic, prosperity, love, lust, bindings, hexes, jinxes, etc., etc. There are tons of ways to get what we need as magical practitioners, or at least start the energy flow down the right path. I'm sure most all of us have worked spells for certain desires and or necessities. Most of the time, these spells are one and done. Raise the energy, program it, and send it out to do your biddings. These are somewhat common and the norm. In this episode of Witch in the Working, we're going to talk all about a larger and more extensive type of working, or maybe you would call it workings. Well, anyways, it's a type of magic that is for a yearly or longer set goal that actually uses the cycle of the Sabbats as a roadway and platform in its design. So without further ado, let's get into it and roll the intro. Welcome back everyone. So as I mentioned, in this episode I'm going to introduce a magical procedure I like to call Milestone Magick, because it is mainly used to help us out in achieving milestones in our lives. I've done Milestone Magick a few times in my life, and Pink and I are actually going to do it again this year, so I thought I'd share it with you this time. So we all know about these Sabbats, and most pagans utilize them as they have been in existence for thousands of years, as well as honored and celebrated by most all cultures for tens of thousands of years. As the neo-pagan practices of today express, these Sabbats come in 8 flavors per year. Now I know some of you will follow a different calendar year where it starts with Samhain as the witch's new year and move forward from there, but for simplicity and the everyday commonality of the official Gregorian calendar style used in everyday life today by most all countries and cultures, we're going to follow the Gregorian calendar format. So the Sabbats, as I mentioned, contain 8 flavors, starting with Imbolc in February, Ostara in March, Beltane in May, Midsummer in June, Llamas in August, Mabon in September, Samhain in October, and finally ending with Yule in December. From here, they wash, rinse, and repeat, coming full circle right back to the starting point with Imbolc all over again. These Sabbats are solar festivals and track with the sun's perceived movements and the effect that all of this has on our environment called the seasons. And I'm saying again, the perceived movement of the sun, because the reality is that the Earth's spin axis is tilted with respect to its orbital plane. This is what causes the seasons. When the Earth's axis points towards the sun, it is summer for that hemisphere, and when the Earth's axis points away, winter can be expected. Regardless, we've celebrated these seasons for thousands of years and still continue these practices today. These Sabbats are not just all willy-nilly laid out all over the place with no rhyme or reason as well. They actually have a story themselves and follow a pattern that is very specific and functional to all of us, culturally, agriculturally, religiously, and magically. So I was thinking, agriculturally, the Sabbats move through their cycles, showing from the beginning the lackadaisical days of Imbolc in February, During Imbolg, we are in midwinter, anxiously anticipating the first days of spring during Ostara in March. Ostara is the spring equinox where we will plant our first seeds, for instance. Then we continue through all the rest of the Sabbats and agricultural methods, which ultimately ends with the final harvest during Samhain in October, just in time for the winter to roll around in December during the winter solstice, where everything sleeps, awaiting rebirth again in the spring. Cycles, 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 people. Everything works in cycles on this big blue marble of existence. This is another reason I know for myself anyways that death amongst us is not the end, but just another continuous cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Everything else works this way in life. Why not our existence as well? So why not use this cycle that we celebrate each year like clockwork as a platform for working magic as well? I mean, after all, working magic is very much just like planting crops. We plant a seed, we nurture and build that energy into full growth, and then we reap the rewards. Hopefully anyway. So why not use these circumstances and cycles as a sort of giant working to accomplish something magically that would normally be something you're striving for that would take some time and nurturing to accomplish? Again, a sort of milestone. What better way to perform this magic than utilizing the yearly Sabbats as a guideline and platform, so to speak? I mean, you're now utilizing the natural cycles of Mother Nature herself, the god and goddess, and the spirits as well to help perform and drive your magical working and intentions. So, I love this concept, Manon. How do I go about doing it now? Well, okay, I hear you. So let's get into it and pick it apart and figure it out. So for starters, you're going to want to have an magical goal for something that is not an overnight desire, maybe a milestone of some sorts. What is a milestone? A milestone is a significant event or achievement that marks a point in the development of something. It can be a project, a product, a business, or an individual's personal goals. Milestones are often used to mark the completion of a phase or to celebrate an important achievement. It can also be used to measure progress and to help plan for the next phase of a development, for instance. This is a working that would take some time and lengthy ongoing effort, attention, and patience to achieve. A long-term goal, so to speak, where we'll be working up to achieving that goal with the help of magic. To give you some for instances, maybe a milestone goal for achieving a manager's position at your work, or a goal for saving money for something big, or a goal for your business to become more prosperous, for instance, or for your successful recovery from a bad habit or to grow more spiritually. I'm going to use a real life scenario moving forward that Pink and I are going to perform this year, and that is for us to buy a house by the end of this year. This is our long-term goal or our milestone in our life at this point. There are many cogs that need to line up for this to happen financially, economically, and realty-wise, market-wise, etc. So this needs to ideally be started at the beginning of the year before Imbolg, which is February 2nd. Imbolg is a Gaelic festival marking the beginning of spring, so to speak, or coming into it. It's traditionally celebrated on February 1st or 2nd, depending on the lunar calendar. The festival is also known as Imbolg, Oimelk, or Brigid's Day, and it's associated with the Celtic goddess Brigid. This festival is marked with rituals and traditions such as lighting candles, making offerings to Brigid, and preparing for coming spring. Imbolg is an important holiday in the Celtic calendar and is celebrated by many people around the world. So in essence, this is a time for preparing for the coming work at hand. This is where you're going to want to sit and brainstorm about your goal and really work out the many goals involved in achieving the bigger picture. One step Pink and I will perform is to write down exactly what we want to find in our forever home and put it in as much detail as we can. Also, we'll be listing all of the possible obstacles that can get in our way in an attempt to avoid them as much as possible. Most times our goal at hand has a few mini steps or achievements that need to happen in order to harvest the big payoff. Get these ideas in order, as well as any other tasks or possible blockages that can arise. Remember, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. So think ahead and try and foresee your opportunities and possible speed bumps that may get in the way to create a game plan to overcome them if they arise. Create a small altar that is dedicated to your goal at hand. Keep this set up in an area that you encounter daily to remind yourself of the goal you're working on throughout the rest of the year. Use an altar cloth color that corresponds with what you're trying to achieve. For instance, we're going to use the color brown to represent hearth and home. We're going to decorate our altar with things that we feel represent this home achieving goal. You're also going to want to create a sigil at this point that has to do with the task at hand. To see how to do this, see my video linked here and also down in the description below. Draw this sigil nice and large on a piece of parchment paper, or maybe burn it into a piece of wood. However you feel you want to bring this sigil into fruition and burn into your psyche as the symbol of representation for your goal. I also like to treat this as a time of out with the old and in with the new. Write down some of last year's negativities and blockages onto a piece of paper and then burn it from the flames of a white candle for purity to be rid of the old energy and thoroughly welcoming the new, placing all of the crap and any possible negative influences behind you and out of your path moving forward. As often as you can, visit your altar and give positive energy and attention towards your working. Maybe create a small prayer or saying that you can speak aloud once a day as a sort of affirmation, for instance. You can also just sit at your altar and feed some energy towards your goal through meditation or positive thinking by seeing yourself happy and celebrating the milestone when you achieve it. The next Sabbat that rolls through is the spring equinox, or Ostara. Ostara is a holiday that is celebrated typically on the spring equinox, which occurs around March 21st in the northern hemisphere. It's a time to celebrate the arrival of spring, the return of longer, brighter days, fertility, rebirth, and new beginnings. Some people who celebrate Ostara may also mark the holiday by decorating eggs and planting seeds. Does it sound familiar? Sort of like Easter, another holiday the Christians stole from us pagans. Anyways, this is the time when we're going to start putting some action and practice into achieving our goal. For instance, Pink and I will be putting into physical action, saving money, and bettering our credit scores to help us achieve our goal of buying a house. Magically, for this Sabbath, we're going to plant a seed, or maybe a few depending on the plant you decide on. I recommend something that possibly corresponds with your goal, as well as try and get something that is easy to nurture and isn't too tough to keep alive, especially for us non-green thumbs out there. You can even purchase a plant that is already started if need be, then your goal is just to keep it alive. Pink and I went ahead and obtained a house plant as our living energy towards our goal. Find a quiet, comfortable place to sit where you won't be disturbed. Take a piece of paper and write down your intentions for the coming goals you want to achieve. Hold the seeds and paper in your hands and visualize your intentions as you say the following words, or something similar. As the seeds in my hands hold the promise of new life, so too do my intentions hold the promise of growth and renewal. I plant these seeds of intention, nurturing them with love and care, so that they may blossom and flourish in the coming months. Ostara, goddess of spring, bless these seeds and my endeavors, bringing abundance, prosperity, and joy. Plant the seeds in a small pot, and if you decided to get a plant already growing, roll up the paper and place it in the soil with the plant. Be sure to trace your sigil that you created into the soil after planting, and maybe even draw it on the pot itself. Moving forward, continue with your altar work as well as taking care of your plant. So now we are well on our way of the working being born and put into action. The energy is out there and doing what needs to be done. Congratulations. Everything is in motion, but that's not all. We now need to keep the energy growing and moving forward ever closer to our goal. So as time ticks on and we move along day in and day out, so does the earth and spirits, and now we come up to Beltane. Beltane is an ancient Gaelic holiday that celebrates and welcomes the fertility of spring. It falls on May 1st and is one of the 4 Gaelic seasonal festivals along with Samhain, Imbolc, and Lughnasadh. Beltane is traditionally a time of fertility and growth and was celebrated with bonfires, feasting, and rituals to honor the gods and to ensure a good harvest. The key word to take here is fertility. Beltane is the Sabbath of fertility. This is when our god and goddess come together and join in their sacred marriage. So how do we tie this in with our big working? Double down on your action actions towards your goal. Do something creative and take a step outside the box to change up the monotony of your energy-raising contributions. Step outside your comfort zone a little and try to mix things up a bit. Come up with a unique and creative idea as an addition to add to your methods of helping to obtain your big picture goal. For instance, Pink and I are going to go and attend some first-time homeowners seminars taking place in the summer, as well as look into new ways of raising credit scores, as well as contact realtors and lenders that can help us foresee any blockades down the pipeline. Magically do a spell that combines the masculine and feminine forces of creation. Symbolically, you can form an act of utilizing a cup and an athame, or a cup and a wand, known as the Great Rite. You simply fill a cup with some wine to represent the female aspect and obtain a phallic wand or an athame to represent the male aspect. Simply place the phallic tool or the athame within the cup, inserting up and down a few times, whilst concentrating on the conclusion of happiness and successful achievement of your desired big picture goal. This can be done by yourself or as a couple if you have a partner. Once you've brought the two together, take a sip of the wine or juice and pour the rest onto the earth. Give a little to your plant as well. Of course, the best way to do this is utilizing sex magic. To learn more about this technique, see my video linked up here or down in the description below. This is a fertility Sabbat after all. Next in our process of our gram working, we come to the Sabbat of Midsummer. Midsummer, also known as the summer solstice, is the longest day of the year and marks the beginning of the astronomical summer. It's typically celebrated on June 20th or 21st in the northern hemisphere. Midsummer has been celebrated by many cultures throughout history and is often associated with fertility, growth, and the sun. Many traditions involve the use of fire and light, such as bonfires, lanterns, and torches. Midsummer is also a time for feasting and revelry, as people come together to celebrate the abundance of the summer season. In some traditions, midsummer is seen as a time of great magical power. Now is the time to keep up the good struggle. Put some physical hard work into your goal if possible. It's time to light a fire beneath the energies of your goal to really get moving, active and abundant. For instance, Pink and I are going to be looking into making some extra cash that can be put towards our savings for the down payment on our house. This will be achieved through sacrificing some things we no longer need in our lives, as well as taking on some extra work for a bit. Again, everyone's scenario is going to be different, so you have to use your imagination and figure out these plans and mini goals for yourself to fit your particular scenario and goals. This plan format I'm giving you is simply a guideline and some examples that might help, as well as a way to incorporate the Sabbats and the magic within them to achieve a large goal, or again, a milestone. Magically, a great little spell I suggest is to grab a small piece of wood, like a little 1-inch square piece of something, like a little rune type size piece of wood, and use a wood burner, or better yet, a magnifying glass in the sun itself, being that midsummer is the height of the Sun Lord himself, and burn your sigil into this little wood chip. Keep this on you moving forward if you can. Again, this is a magical method of doubling down on the energy boost. Okay, moving right along, we come to the 5th Sabbat of the year, which is Llamas. Llamas, also known as Lugnasad, is a traditional Gaelic holiday that marks the beginning of the harvest season and is in fact the first of 3 harvests. It falls on August 1st or 2nd and is one of the 4 Gaelic seasonal festivals along with Samhain, Imbolc, and Beltane. Llamas is a time of abundance and thanksgiving as people come together to celebrate the fruits of earth and to give thanks for the blessings of the previous year. It's also a time of transformation as the summer season begins to shift into autumn. Traditionally, Llamas was celebrated with feasting, games, and rituals to honor the gods and to ensure a good harvest. In some parts of the world, Llamas is still celebrated today with similar traditions, such as the making of bread, the sharing of food, and the creation of corn dollies. By now, you may start to see the beginnings and first stirrings of a return or a fruition of your goal at hand. Keep in mind that your work is not over, and this is just the beginning. You should be thankful for this new energy and positive jolt to your life, but at the same time, be careful and humble and take your first harvest and make sure the direction is right and things are steady for you moving forward. There's still a ways to go before you achieve your ultimate success. Don't get greedy. Always remember, the gods help those who help themselves. To receive a good harvest, you have to put in good work. Magically, a great spell to do is to grab an ear of corn with the husk still on it, peel off the husk, and draw your sigil on the inside of the husk, using the husk as a sort of parchment paper, so to speak. Take a few clippings from your plant that you've been growing as a small sacrifice and roll it up into the husk. Tie this closed and bury this harvest in some nearby soil as a sacrifice towards your goal to the gods. As the nights turn to days and the days nights, we start to see the days becoming shorter and shorter, and we start to sense the fall approaching. In rolls Mabon, or the autumnal equinox. Mabon is a modern name for the autumn equinox, which is a seasonal holiday in the northern hemisphere. It falls on September 22nd or 23rd, depending on the year. The autumn equinox is a time of balance, as the length of daylight and darkness are equal. It's a time to give thanks for the abundance of the summer season and to prepare for the winter months ahead, and is the second of the 3 harvests. Mabon is a time of transformation as the earth begins to change and the natural world shifts from the warmth and light of summer to the cooler, darker days of autumn. We're now at a time in your manifestation where your goal should really start to show itself and start to roll in. Double down on your harvest and enjoy it a little. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy type scenario. Now again, keep in mind that this is all an example and everyone's scenario will be a little different. So go with the flow and tackle the speed bumps as they arise, as well as embrace the harvests and good moments as they show themselves. Use both the speed bumps and the mini rewards as a tool for ultimately obtaining the big picture goal or your milestone. For instance, by this point, Pink and I will be all set and in full search mode for our new home. It will be an extremely exciting time for us, as well as a slightly stressful one, but a good stress is trying to decide just how much of a forever home we're going to want to spend the rest of our lives together in. Magically, a neat little spell you can do is to get a 7-day cylinder candle that is the color relevant to your working. Get some grapes as well, doesn't matter what color or type, along with some wine or grape juice. Draw your special sigil on your glass candle with a permanent marker. For more information on dressing a candle, see my video linked here as well as in the description below. Sit quietly and hold the grapes in your hands and thank the gods and goddesses for your harvest so far. Squeeze the grapes, allowing the juice from them to flow into the glass of wine or juice. Take a sip and also put a few drops of wine into the candle as well as into your plant. Take the rest of the glass of wine or juice and place the crushed grapes into the cup and take the concoction outside into the moonlight. Toss the entirety of the mixture high into the air and let it rain back to the earth to rain your bounty upon you. Light the candle upon your altar and let it burn all the way down and out. Finally, we come to the third and final harvest of Samhain. Samhain is an ancient Gaelic holiday that marks the end of the harvest season and the first stirrings of winter. It falls on October 31st and is one of the 4 Gaelic seasonal festivals, along with, again, Imbolc, Beltane, and Lughnasadh. Samhain is a time of transition as the boundary between the physical world and the spirit world is believed to be thin at this time. It's a time to honor our ancestors and to remember those who have passed on. Many traditional Samhain customs involve the use of fire, such as lighting bonfires and candles to honor the ancestors and to guide their spirits home. Samhain is also a time of divination and prophecy, as people would consult these spirits for guidance and advice. It's a time to reflect on the past and to look forward to the future with hope and determination. By this time in our journey, we should be fully benefiting from our goal at this point. We should be reaping our rewards for the magic and effort that we've been working on all year long. Your third harvest is your final chance to reap what you've sown. Now remember again, this is a working that is very, very subjective, so it's going to be different for all of us. Some of you may have actually reached this point a few months ago, and some of you may not have reached this point as of yet. Some of us, depending on the goal, may take more than one seasonal year to achieve our goal. If you're this person, don't give up. The magic is out there and it's doing its thing for your best interest. The gods work in mysterious ways, and maybe right now is not the right time for your achievement. If your goal didn't come to fruition, now's a great time to work some divination to search for some answers and or encouragements. Before you divine, think about your actions that you took during the year. What can you do different this year coming up? The important thing is to not give up. See the glass as half full, not half empty. Try again. Magically take some clippings from your plant and draw your rune one last time on a piece of parchment. Burn these as an offering to the Lord and Lady and the spirits for assisting you in your journey. There's one last Sabbat, which is Yule or the winter solstice. The winter solstice is the shortest day and the longest night of the year. This occurs around December 21st or 22nd in the northern hemisphere. In the context of modern pagan and Wiccan traditions, the winter solstice is often referred to as the Yule Sabbat, and it is one of the 8 annual Sabbats that make up the wheel of the year. It It's a time of celebration and renewal, and it's seen as a time to honor the returning light and the rebirth of the sun. Many people who celebrate the winter solstice Sabbath hold rituals and ceremonies to mark the occasion, and they may also engage in activities such as gift giving, decorating with evergreens and other symbols of the season, and feasting as well. Some people also observe the winter solstice as a time of introspection and spiritual reflection, using it as an opportunity to set goals and intentions for the coming year. In our journey, we're using Yule as a time for rest and relaxation. Reflect back on your success and, relish in your hard work and efforts. Be proud of your harvest and the blessings you achieved. And if you didn't get the harvest you expected, frown not, but use this time to respark the light with the birth of the sun god and get ready to try again this coming Imbolg in a month or so. I'm very confident that the gods didn't fail you. They have bigger and better plans waiting for the second time around. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Witch in the Working. What do you think about this long-term milestone type of magic journey to success type deal? Are you going to give it a shot this year? Let us all know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to ring that little bell to be reminded of wonderful and exciting future episodes to come. I love you guys and gals. See you next time. Blessed be.